All right, what's up, everyone? It's me, Drew, and I'm here with a very, very special episode. There's no intro to this one, there's no ads. It's just me, a microphone, and a camera. And it is February 20th, 2025. So 2025. And I'm coming to you guys with a special episode. This is possibly my last podcast episode for a while, and I'll explain why. And I'm going to try to get through this without crying or getting emotional. But it's been I've been meaning to do this podcast for a while. It's been a long time coming, and it's time to pull the trigger on it. And so here I am today, sporting. This is the original. Back in 2011, when I did Fit2Fat2Fit the first time, this was the first T-shirt that I printed, and I sold a couple, maybe like, I don't know, maybe a dozen or two, and people bought them back in the day. But this is the original design. I kept it throughout, let's see, 14, almost 15 years later, and I still have it. And I don't know if I'll ever throw it away. And so I thought for today's episode, it's a special episode. Um, and I decided to wear it for today. So here I am today. And the reason I'm making this podcast episode is because it is the end of an era for me. And I want to preface that by saying I'm not going away completely. I'm going to go ahead and skip to the end of the podcast. I'm not going away completely. I'm not going to clickbait you and be like, oh, I'm done. And then psych at the end, like I'm still going to be around. I'll explain why it is the end of this era and the beginning of something new. So let's just back up to the very, very beginning. When I did Fit2Fat2Fit in 2011, I'm going to kind of bring you guys in a very fast way through my journey, my story of what led me to where I am today. Back when I did Fit2Fat2Fit in 2011, first of all, I had no idea that this would become what it's become. I had no idea I would be on TV shows. I had no idea I would have my own TV show. I had no idea I would write my own book. I had no idea that book would become a New York Times bestseller, and I had no idea any of this would become my career, if you will, for the past 14 years. It's been a wild ride. I've been through a divorce. I've been through breakups. Um, I've been through a lot of challenges the past 14 years, and it's been very humbling. And all I can say really quickly is that I am super honored and blessed and grateful that Fit2Fat2Fit is what it became. I'm grateful that I was a part of it and that it led me down this path of where I've been and where I am today. A lot of blessings, a lot of positive things have come from this, but you guys don't get to see a lot of the heartache and the hard work and the tough parts of this journey. You get to see the highlights, the good things, like when I launch a book or I launch a TV show or I launch a program or whatever it is. You guys get to see the highlights. You don't see the hardships of my personal life necessarily. You've seen me talk about you know my divorce. You've seen me talk about leaving my religion. You've seen me talk about breakups. You've seen me talk about struggles with being a single dad to two young girls. Um, and you've followed me throughout the journey. So first of all, I just want to say thank you to everyone that supported me. And I would say about 4 years ago when I moved to Hawaii, um, and I did Fit2Fat2Fit the second time. I did Fit2Fat2Fit in 2011, the first time. That got a lot of attention. It made me go viral. I remember still to this day being in the operating room because I was working in the medical field full time as I was doing Fit2Fat2Fit. I remember turning my phone on after getting out of surgery because I was a neuro monitoring technician at the time that I was doing Fit2Fat2Fit, and I had posted a press release. And um, what had happened was my story of me gaining weight initially, just so you guys know, it didn't go viral right away. I remember I started in May of 2011. I started telling my friends and family and posting on my Facebook page. And back then you had to have 25 likes in order for a Facebook business page to be credible. And so I eventually got to 25 likes and friends started following me, eating the food, gaining weight, right? Because I initially went on this journey to gain a better understanding of what it was like to be overweight. And I pulled the trigger on it. And my wife at the time, Lynn, was helping me throughout that journey. And you know, um, what had happened was Yahoo.com got wind of a podcast or a blogger that had written about me, and Yahoo.com picked it up and put it on their homepage. And I remember that night when I got a call from whoever the blogger was saying, "Hey, Yahoo.com wants to post my blog about you on their main website." And I was like, "Okay, sure," not knowing what to expect. Next morning, went into surgery, and I get out of surgery, turn my phone on, and I have so many phone calls, text messages from producers, other TV shows, friends from high school, friends from like that I haven't seen or heard from in years, right? And what had happened is that story went viral and it shut my website down. I remember just like my mom calling me saying, "Drew, we got a call from the producers of Dr. Oz. They called us. They're trying to get a hold of you. Like you need to call them back." And it was a crazy time, and that was the beginning of my Fit2Fat2Fit story, where it then became a career. I quit my job in the medical field. I got a book deal. I went on a bunch of TV shows. I went on a whole media tour. I had a publicist, and I rode that wave, thinking like, okay, this will be interesting. But then I made the leap into doing this full time, and over the past 14 years, I've become an entrepreneur, not because I planned that, but because it kind of happened upon me, and I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And I loved it. I freaking loved it. I loved connecting with people. I loved helping people. And it's definitely evolved throughout the years. And like I said, I've been very, very blessed throughout the years. I've had a lot of success. I've made a lot of money, and it's definitely created this legacy, if you will. But I wanted to dive into why it's coming to an end and how that happened. And I'll just be totally upfront and honest. As you guys know, if you followed me for years, I have a track record of being an open book. I don't hide things from you guys. I don't twist things in a certain way. I tell you guys how it is. I've told you guys my mistakes. I've told you guys my weaknesses. I've told you guys, things that I regret doing and things that I wish had never happened. So hopefully you know that I come from a sincere place in my heart, and this is who I am. This is how I've chosen to show up, to be this different version of myself. If you had known the old version of me, I wore a mask, and I pretended to be happy on the outside, and on the inside there was a war going on. I think a lot of men can relate to this. um, but anyways, about 4 years ago is when things started to get very challenging for me with my brand. I've always worked with a marketing team, to help me, with ads, email campaigns, how to monetize this so I could pay the bills. And I've always had a team with me. And about 4 years ago, post COVID definitely threw a dent, or threw a wrench in our business. And I had a CEO at the time, had a marketing team, had a personal assistant. I had a business assistant and a personal assistant with my life. And um, I had to let everyone go. I couldn't pay anyone anymore, and I decided to run the company by myself. And for the past 4 years, I've been struggling to do that. And I've realized that, you know, um, I can't do everything. Being a single dad, being a present parent, I've chosen that to be a present parent above all else, including my business. And I'm sure that I've lost out on business deals, or making more money by being able to pick up my daughters from school and drop them off and being present with them. Um, and that might have, I'm not going to blame it on that. I'm just saying, if I was a single guy with no kids, I'm sure this could have ended differently. But I've made the choice to choose my purpose in this life, to be the best dad that I can be to my daughters. And that comes at a cost of, instead of, finding ways to make more money, or making more content, or making more videos, or whatever it is, there's an endless amount of things you can do as an entrepreneur, as an influencer, to monetize and write more courses or more programs, or a new app, or whatever it is. I've made the conscious choice to not overwhelm myself with that, and make my purpose to be the best dad I can be for my girls. And some of that has come at the cost of maybe not being as a successful businessman as I maybe could have been. And but I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, trust me when I say this, like, I would be a happy man if my business failed, which it's kind of in that position right now, knowing that my daughters knew that their dad was there for them. Because at the end of the day, money doesn't really matter at the end of the day. 100 years from now, when my daughters, have passed on, even I've passed on, they've passed on, no one's going to know or care about, oh, Drew, the Fit2Fat2Fit guy. Like, all I care about is being the best dad I can be to my daughters. And hopefully one day I'll be blessed as a grandfather. That's all that I really care about, to be honest with you. Of course, I do like making money. I do like taking vacations and paying for things. So it's not like I've neglected my job. I've tried my hardest. And this is one lesson I've learned from my divorce is, and anyone that's been through a divorce or been through a tough decision, the toughest decision you'll make in life is, do I keep trying harder or do I give up? And over the past 4 years, I've been broken many times in the past 4 years, more than I ever have in the first 40 years of my life. Where it's challenged my beliefs about myself and how I choose to show up in this world. And it's unfortunately, as much as I've tried, as much as I've done to try and save this business and make more content and be more profitable and grind and hustle as much as I can to, get this back up to where it used to be, it just hasn't been in the cards for me. And that's one thing I've realized is I can't always control the outcome. And this is something that I've preached to my clients. And now I get to learn that lesson firsthand when it comes to the results of my business. I could make all the content you could, imagine. I could write new programs. I could create new apps. I could create new streams of revenue with my business. But at the end of the day, I can't control if people buy my products and things sell the way I want them to. Like when I do an ad campaign or an email campaign, I can't control how many people click on that link, purchase the product or the service, and have that money come into my bank account. And that's one of the hardest freaking lessons of life. And it's tough because I think a lot of us struggle with that concept. If I do this, if I do X, then I expect Y. If I put in this much effort, I expect this result. And if we don't get that result, a lot of people stop putting in the effort. And it was a couple of years ago, I saw a podcast with Lewis Howes and Jay Shetty. And in that podcast, they were talking about relationships, like boyfriend, girlfriend, marriage, stuff like that. But something that Jay Shetty said, he said something along the lines of high engagement, low attachment. And what that meant to me when he said that was, I can only control how I choose to show up every day, which means I am highly engaged to kicking ass, grinding, hustling, putting in all my effort to something, but low attachment to the outcome. And Jay Shetty obviously comes from the monk world, and that concept seemed, I preached that to my clients who struggled to, they would count their macros and their calories, they would do their workouts, they would go to the gym, they would eat healthy, and then the number on the scale wouldn't show up what they wanted it to, and they would, get frustrated naturally. And that's totally understandable. And a lot of people then throw in the towel after time and time again of trying with so much effort and being highly engaged to the process, but it's hard to be not attached to the outcome. And that's something that I've learned as well, and I've gotten better at. It's been my mantra for the past couple of years. It still sucks. I'm not gonna lie, it still sucks when, it's not the outcome that you want. And this is not the outcome that I wanted. I can't read into the future, but I have hope that this decision that I've made consciously to go back to school. So I have enrolled in a master's program to get my degree in psychology, to become a licensed therapist, and I'm making the jump from the physical health world to the mental health world. And I hope to bring all the lessons that I've learned from my Fit2Fat2Fit journey and being humbled and the importance of empathy and making people feel seen and heard and understood. And I feel like I can bring something unique to the world of psychology and mental health because of this journey that I've been on. So I've pulled the trigger on going back to school full time online starting in March, which is probably when this episode will air. And so with that decision, I'm in a place where I can't do Fit2Fat2Fit the way I used to, where it is my main source of income. which is very humbling, and it's difficult. It's a hit to your ego, which luckily I read the book "Ego is the Enemy" by Ryan Holiday many years ago after my divorce, and that has helped me let go of my ego in certain situations, because it is hard for me to make this transition. And there's times where I'm like, I got this, I can do this, and other times it's like I've been this version of me for the past 14 years, and to all of a sudden, you know, do that only part time and find a full time job somewhere else, which I'm in the process of searching for a job, believe it or not. No luck yet, but I have to be a dad and provide for my daughters. So I don't have an ego or pride about what I do. I would hope to find a job that, fits into what I would view as something that would be enjoyable and fulfilling. But at the end of the day, in this world, you have to make money to pay the bills to buy food, and I'm a part of that, and I'm a part of that system, and so I have to find a job, and so I'm in the process of one, going back to school, two, finding a job, and three, Fit2Fat2Fit will still be a part-time thing. I still plan on having access to my social media. I just won't be as active on it because it does not bring in the money that it used to, and I'm having to make another transition in life, another leap of faith into a different arena, if you will. And yeah, it's freaking hard. And I think of all the hard work that I put into this over the past 14 years, and it does feel like the end of an era. Even though I will be somewhat present part time on social media, part of me is excited. Like, I'm excited for the future. Like, this is a 2 to 3 year program, but that's a long grind. 3 years is a tough time to grind and hustle and work full time and go to school full time and be a present parent. And I'm in a beautiful, healthy, secure relationship with an amazing woman who supports me through this journey and um, loves me regardless if I'm Drew the Fit2Fat2Fit guy or not. And it's been very humbling to apply for jobs and get rejected. It's been humbling to tell people that um, I'm going back to school. And at the end of the day, there's a quote that I love. It says, "Those that mind don't matter, and those that matter don't mind." And the people in my life that matter to me, they don't mind. There might be people out there that do mind, that I don't know very well, that might laugh or you know whatever. I don't really care. But those that matter to me don't mind that I am not the Fit2Fat2Fit guy for eternity. It'll always be a part of me. It will always be a part of, like, my past. It'll always shape how I view the world, and I don't take it for granted. Like, I have been so blessed in so many ways, and like I said, there's a part of me that's excited, nervous, a part of me that's happy for something new and exciting. Like, I'm really excited to jump into maybe a new field, a new industry during the next 3 years as I go back to school to learn a new skill or serve people in a different way and take the skills that I've learned from Fit2Fat2Fit and building this brand online to, apply that in maybe someone else's business and help someone else build their dream. I'm totally fine with that. And I'm excited for what will happen when I do get my degree. I have some plans. I have some ideas that I think are really unique, but I don't know what doors will open over the next 3 years as I go down this path. But I'm excited because it's something that I'm pursuing, something that I'm passionate about. I've seen what helping people with their physical health can do, and I've also seen what helping people with their mental health can do. And I feel like I can make more of an impact in the mental health space with the knowledge that I have from the physical health space, and kind of combine those two worlds to help people on their journeys. So that's where I'm at. I don't want to make this too long. I almost got through it without crying, but just please know that, like, if you could only have seen the past 4 years of, like, what I've been through and how hard I've tried to make this work and to make this successful, I think you would understand. It's been a hard journey the past 4 years where I've been broken in ways I've never been broken before, and I'm grateful for those moments because they've shaped me into who I am today, and I actually like this version of me and who I'm becoming. So um, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be hard. There's a quote that I love from Rumi, and he says, "The cure for pain is in the pain." And it's so much easier to distract ourselves from the pain because as humans, we do not like pain. Physical pain, emotional pain, uncomfortable feelings. I get it. And it's so much easier to numb, distract with food and drugs and alcohol and sex and porn and social media and Netflix and all these ways of distracting. And there is something to say about leaning into the pain to learn from the pain and let that pain teach you something. And speaking of quotes, I actually wrote down some of my favorite quotes throughout the years that have really shaped me. And I'll go through these really quickly. Sorry, I don't want to drip my snot all over the microphone. So the first one is the Rumi quote: "The cure for pain is in the pain." So for all those out there that struggle with getting uncomfortable physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, I challenge you to turn and face your pain. And I promise you, you will learn some valuable lessons from that. It sucks to go through painful experiences in life, but I believe those painful experiences can teach us the most valuable lessons. And in the end, I think some of those painful experiences, not all of them, can be our greatest teachers into shaping us into who we were meant to be. The next quote I love from Anthony DeMello. He says, "What you're aware of, you're in control of, and what you're not aware of is in control of you." And that has helped me tremendously on my journey of healing, if you will. Is I think the first step in any kind of transformation or overcoming any kind of addiction or any kind of behavior or pattern you're trying to you know let go of is self-awareness, becoming aware of why you are the way you are and why you do what you do. And so what you're aware of, you start to be in control of. And what you're not aware of is in control of you. So a lot of us run on our subconscious programming, right? The stuff that we don't even really have to think about. We're kind of going through life on autopilot, not really aware of why we do what we do. Like, why am I addicted to this food or this drug or this alcohol? Like, why am I trying to escape this pain, if that makes sense? Um, and I think the first step is self-awareness. Now, that doesn't solve everything, but that's where the journey begins, is with self-awareness. The next one is, and I've said this since the beginning of Fit2Fat2Fit, and this is what encompasses or embodies what Fit2Fat2Fit is all about. And it's a Teddy Roosevelt quote: "No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care." And that's really what Fit2Fat2Fit did for me, is to make sure that I made people feel cared about first and foremost, instead of just vomiting all this knowledge of like, here's your macros and here's your calories and here's how to lose weight and here's how to lose fat and here's how to build muscle. No one cares how much knowledge you have or how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think that's something to live by as a parent, a teacher, a coach, trainer, doctor, whatever it is, making people feel seen and heard and understood and cared about first and foremost. I don't know the author of this quote, but this has helped me on my healing journey. If you don't heal what hurts you, you'll bleed on those who didn't cut you. If you don't heal what hurts you, you'll bleed on those who didn't cut you. I think a lot of us are collateral damage in someone's internal war with themselves, and they don't even realize it. Like, we don't realize, hurt people hurt people. And when you've been hurt and you've been through pain, you project that onto other people unconsciously sometimes, and not even really knowing that you do that. Just ask any parent that yells at their kids that, maybe their parent was mean to them or beat them, and that pattern continues until someone becomes a cycle breaker and is willing to break that cycle and do the inner work so that you stop bleeding on those who didn't even cut you in the first place. You cannot shame yourself into change. You can only love yourself into evolution. Once again, I don't know who said that, but that for me is so true. I've learned so much about shame throughout the years. I grew up in a very shameful environment, and the religion that I grew up in, there was a lot of shame. And at least that was my perception. And shame, I don't think, is healthy. It's not a healthy human emotion. And so I feel like learning to love yourself into evolution has been the most remarkable lesson for myself, of instead of hating these parts about myself and trying to shame myself into changing these behaviors or addictions that I had, thinking if I just beat myself up a little bit more, then I'll be perfect. And I've tried that time and time again. And I've seen it so many times where even if you continue to hate yourself, if you hate yourself now, thinking you'll love yourself one day if you get this body or have this much money or have this much success, I promise you'll still continue to hate yourself because you'll never be good enough. I love this one by Viktor Frankl. This has helped me and a lot of my clients. Between stimulus and response, there's a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. That for me is so powerful because a lot of us, like I said, are running on autopilot and we react to stimulus. We react to triggers. And until you become self aware, you'll just continue to react instead of thoughtfully respond. And the difference between reacting and thoughtfully responding is making space between a trigger and a reaction. And the more space you create, the more you can thoughtfully respond, and you have the power to choose how you want to show up. So if you struggle with food addiction or porn addiction or any kind of addiction or behavior that you're trying to change, whether it's shaming your kids and yelling at them because they spilled the milk or whatever it is, there is power in making space between the trigger and how you react. And that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned over the years. And I wish I would have known these lessons as a new parent, but luckily my girls have kind of seen me evolve where I'm not as reactive as I used to be. And that has helped me tremendously. So really good quote that I love. And the last one that I love from Ram Dass, a spiritual leader, he said, "We're all just walking each other home." And, whether you believe in afterlife or not, like I don't claim to know what happens after this life, but I have hope that there is some type of universal connection between me and you and every single stranger on this earth. And the way I like to view this world is looking at people through that lens of we're all just walking each other home. The lessons I learned from you, whether it's just a quick interaction, a quick hi, or just viewing someone and their, how they're acting in public shapes the way I perceive things, or a teacher or a coach or a friend or a lover, whatever it is. We're all just walking each other home. And so those are just a few quotes. I could go on and on for hours about other quotes. And then the last thing I'll leave you guys with really quick, and I'll let you go, is the books that have shaped my life over the past, and just a few of them. Well, a lot of them. I read a lot of books. I hated reading books. I was a football player and wrestler growing up. I did not like reading. I liked watching movies. And being in the being in the religion I grew up in, which is the Mormon religion, aka the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I did read scriptures, but I never enjoyed reading until I went through my divorce. And that's, something good that came out of something quote unquote bad, is I started picking up books, and that shifted my perception of how I wanted to show up in this world. So here's a few, and feel free to push pause and write these down. But these are just ones that have made a huge impact on me. The Four Agreements. Every human, I think, in the world should read that book. A Mastery of Self and Mastery of Love. Those are three of my favorite books from Don Miguel Ruiz. But the Four Agreements, I think, is the most important one out of all of those. Loving What Is by Byron Katie. Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. And honestly, all of her books are good, but this is the one that I first read that made the biggest impact on me. Learning about embracing vulnerability as a strength instead of a weakness. So I highly recommend that one. What Happened to You by Oprah and Dr. Bruce Perry. The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter. The Alchemist. I think everyone's heard of that one. I actually don't remember the author's name. Willpower Doesn't Work by Benjamin Hardy. Atomic Habits by James Clear. From Strength to Strength. That one was, and I think it's Arthur Brooks. Dr. Arthur Brooks, is that his name? Let me see if I can find his name. But this is the one that I read maybe about 2 years ago when I was struggling with Fit2Fat2Fit. And that book really opened up my eyes to pivoting and being okay with pivoting, and how not every single person, like think of the most famous person that no one can be at the top of their game or their industry forever. And some of us hold on to that. And if the more success you've had, the greater the fall is when you don't have that same success. And that book has really helped me to learn how to be okay with pivoting. And right now I am pivoting. But it's been an ego check. Like I've had to check my ego, and it sucks, but it happens to the greatest athletes, the greatest celebrities, where they're not at the top of and for some people it ruins them, it wrecks them. And for me, I can't afford for that to happen, because my daughters deserve the best version of me. Becoming the One by Shalina Ayana. Awareness by Anthony DeMello. Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. How to Change Your Mind. How to Do the Work. The Obstacle is the Way. And Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Obstacles the Way is by Ryan Holiday. How to Do the Work is by Dr. Nicole LePera, and How to Change Your Mind by, oh shoot, what's his name? How to Change Your Mind. What's his name? He has a documentary on Netflix as well called How to Change Your Mind. You can just look it up. Sorry, I apologize to him if he listens to this podcast. Don't tell him. Michael Pollan. Michael Pollan is his name. And okay, that's pretty much it, you guys. Like I said, I will still be on social media. I just won't be as active. I'll still be posting things from time to time, and I'll be busy. Studying, writing papers, taking tests, being a dad, being a boyfriend. Working, paying bills, paying taxes, and hopefully getting my degree in 3 years. So reach out if you guys have any questions. I'll do my best at answering. But once again, thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for all the support throughout the years. And Fit2Fat2Fit has been a wild ride. And, life isn't over. So keep moving forward. Imua, that's another tattoo that I have. I have a lot of tattoos. Imua is the Hawaiian word for progressing forward. And that's why I got it tattooed on my forearm to remember to keep moving forward. So much love, much aloha to you guys. I'll be back. Stay in touch, and we'll talk soon.